Hi guys, Goffy here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about what I think is the best camera that Fuji have ever made, the one they just got perfectly right at the time. Because recently I was looking for a photography-based Fujifilm camera and this exact question was going through my mind, and it quickly resulted in me searching through eBay and picking up yet another camera. I gave in to another bout of gas, and I'll no doubt do this again because, well, I felt good for all of 5 minutes. But before I tell you then what I think is that camera, what is that one for you? And you're gonna have to be quick because for me, that camera is this, the Fujifilm X-Pro2. So then why, in my opinion, is this the camera? Why is this the best camera that Fujifilm have ever made? Now, first of all, look at it. Not many people make a camera that looks like this. You could argue maybe only Leica and Fujifilm do cameras that even remotely resemble what this thing looks like. I think for me, one of the iconic things about Fujifilm is their hybrid viewfinder, which rules out quite a lot of cameras straight away, like the XT line, the XH line, the XE line, all amazing cameras. I love my XH2S, but ultimately they are very similar to what everyone else is making. And sticking with that hybrid viewfinder then, I think that limits it down to two different cameras. We've got the XPro line of cameras and the X100 line of cameras. Now this was super close for me, and I think many people at the start of this video would have chose the X100 line as the camera that really stands out for them. But I think for me, these f2 primes are also iconic Fujifilm for me, and combining the XPro camera with one of these f2 primes, for me, just kind of them together outrules the X100. But having chose the X-Pro, you still got to make a choice, the X-Pro 1, 2 or 3. Now the X-Pro 1, amazing camera, a lot of people talk very fondly of that sensor in there, but for me, I think the X-Pro 2 was a very good upgrade. It made just about everything better. However, the X-Pro 3, things were a slightly different story. They dropped features and added some quirky ones too. And if you're a friend of the channel, you might remember that I did actually have an X-Pro 3, and initially, I loved it. I really liked that flipped rear screen, but honestly, over time, it just got a little bit annoying and I wished it had a normal one. I was also seeing people have problems with the ribbon connector that connects that screen, and I thought, you know what, I think it's time I let my X-Pro 3 go. And I didn't realize at the time, but the X-Pro 3 line also dropped a feature. This camera, the X-Pro 2, has a dual mag optical viewfinder. You can change the magnification of it, which means wide angle primes still work properly with the optical viewfinder, and the X-Pro 3 dropped that. And for me, like I said, it's iconic Fujifilm, so I want it to support as many lenses as possible. And I think finally, the bit that kind of pushed me over the line as well is the price of this camera. So I just paid £650 for it, and it came with 3 batteries and 2 128 gig SD cards and the original box and a thumbs up grip. And I think I did pretty well there, but I have seen others sell with a 6 at the start of their price tag. If you quickly go on eBay now and have a look, there'll be some on there for £900, £1,000, but honestly, I've seen a few now sell at 600. And the X-Pro 1 isn't that far behind the price of this one, and then you've got the X-Pro 3, which is twice the price of this used. You can literally get 2 of these for the same price as one X-Pro 3. And you know what? I'm actually preferring this camera at the minute to my experience with that newer camera. So then how does a 6-year-old camera hold up in 2023? And to be honest with you, surprisingly well. I think we like to kid ourselves that lots has changed in photography over the last 6 years, but that just truly isn't the case. I think the main thing that has changed over the last 6 years is probably autofocus, but you know what? This camera is more than good enough for my own personal use case, which is predominantly travel photography and the occasional portrait. Now, I think the 2 places that I noticed that it's not as good as my modern cameras is first of all face detect and eye detect. I find that I've taken quite a lot of portraits now that are quite close up where the camera just hasn't noticed there's a face or eyes in it. Now with the XH2S, the face can be so small in the frame and it still locks onto it and holds it really well, whereas this guy just sometimes didn't notice. Now for me, using single point and single shot autofocus, that's fine. All I find myself doing with a portrait is putting the focus patch on Claire's face, half pressing the shutter, and then recomposing. Simple as that, and I'm kind of used to doing that because of my Leica cameras anyway. I feel like the other area where you might notice a little bit of a difference is if you're somebody who uses continuous autofocus and relies on it. It's definitely not as good as the modern cameras, but for me, to be honest with you guys, I just don't really use it. Some people might wonder, how does a 6-year-old camera hold up in terms of things like low light? So up on the screen now, we've got the X-H2S and the X-Pro2, 2 generations of sensor apart. Can you tell which one is which? And if you can, at what ISO was it that it actually made a difference? Because I've been using this camera now for the best part of a month, and I have not once thought to myself, I wish it had better low light capabilities. And I think another interesting comparison up on the screen now, both cameras, again, both shooting Pro via JPEGs. Now, a lot of people have this kind of belief that the older sensors just look a little bit nicer when it comes to colors. So up on the screen, do you have a preference between camera A and camera B? And if you prefer camera B, then you do actually prefer the 6-year-old X-Pro2 over the modern X-H2S. Now, I have been genuinely really enjoying this camera over the last month. I think this camera, combined with a new lens I picked up recently, the 33mm f1.4, has just been a combination I've been really struggling to put down. I've been super impressed with how this camera still handles today, and with that lens as well, I think the images just come out looking amazing. And for a photography camera, it's exactly what I was looking for. So should you get an X-Pro2, and why did I pick one up? I think we'll quickly start with why I picked one up. I picked one up because I have the X-H2S and the X100V, and my X100V has been stolen by my girlfriend, which meant for anything Fujifilm based on this channel, I only had the X-H2S to use, which isn't really a problem, but it is a problem in terms of me using a Fuji camera on screen and also using the X-H2S to record video. So I knew I wanted a photography based Fujifilm camera, and I already had a good set of lenses, so this was the camera for me. Now, should you pick one up? I think if you are in the market for a camera where you can change the lenses and predominantly focused on photography, and you really like the idea of a quirky optical viewfinder, then definitely give it a go. I do think if you want to do some video, then you should probably look at the XT line of cameras. You can almost always get better bang for buck going with the XT line. But this is a camera that's been inspiring me to use it, and it's really hard to put a price tag on that. And if you think this camera might get you out shooting more than other cameras, then I think it's more than worth it. There we have it then. This is why I think the X-Pro2 is the best camera Fujifilm have ever made. But down in the comments, I would be really interested to know what for you is that camera. Is it the GFX line, which I've not really talked about at all today? Is it the X100? Is it the XE? Is it one of the XTs? I really want to know down in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do not forget to like and subscribe. There's plenty more Fujifilm content coming. I've genuinely got so much Fuji stuff in the works at the minute. So if you've enjoyed this video, please follow along. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.